Stage standings right now. Entity not too far behind though, sitting in third place where Aster's in first. What are you thinking about the drafts?
I really like Aster's draft. I think I'm with the panel there when it closed out. Effie, Tsunami maybe even, and Winter definitely all in on Aster, it looked like. They have a lineup that just deals with what Entity wants to do really well. And Entity's going to have to play up against that tempo. You've got the Spirit Breaker that's going to be charging around. You've got the changes to the Grimstroke for Pichu, so he's going to be able to play with that Spell Amp really well with a puck. And that is a lot of damage that can come out. And it's a really well-paced game. So Entity is going to have to try to play faster. Last time around, we saw them play against Secret. They did play a more moderate pace, and they did try to slow it down. But with the Lycan, it just doesn't feel like that's necessarily what you want to do.
Yeah, certainly not. See a bit of an engagement mid lane. Of course, Storm are going to say hello to Ori. Ori not going to be too bothered by this. Of course, odds do come up. Jonathan and indeed Team Aster are the favorites, but not too far the favorites, right? It's still a very even matchup, and based off how Entity played against Secret, in fact, hold that thought, because they do have a very nice Nightmare into a Blood right here onto Ori, and that might be first blood to come out. Ori goes down pure, able to secure first blood on the POS1 Bloodseeker. You couldn't have asked for a better start.
Yeah, they just play with that strong combination at the start. Nightmare into Bloodright. No way of purging off that silence early on for the puck, and Ori just kind of walks in by himself. None of his team was there to back up, and just puts himself on the spot. Entity do manage to get a great start off of that, and that should really help with Storm's lane. Just managing to get a little bit more EXP from that kill, a little bit more space to deal with that first creep wave, build into that earlier level 2, just to play with a puck. This is an interesting matchup as well. The puck versus Batrider. With a small camps removed, I feel like that really hurts Batrider more than anything else. Right?
Oh, absolutely. You want that fast farm. It's the whole idea of the Batrider. You clear the wave in the mid lane, you go to the side lanes, or rather the side camps, farm those up and get going. So we'll have a look at the top lane as well. John, of course, Pure going to be there on that Bloodseeker, along, or rather against, Baboka and XXS. You'll have the support of Fishman there on the Bane. This lane, John, against Dawnbreaker, Spirit Breaker, does seem kind of scary here for Pure and Fishman, and you already see Pure not feeling exactly safe. It's one of those things with Dawnbreaker, just such a lane-dominant hero no matter what role you put it in. And of course, XXS, especially once he hits that level 3 mark, it does start to get very scary.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of output. The one good thing Pure has here is, because these are dual melees in his lane, he's getting a lot of value out of Bloodright. He can zone them out pretty well. Fishman can just kind of stand there, do some damage. Level 1 Nightmare doesn't do too much, but once he has that Brain Tap, of course, he can trade really nicely. And he should be able to buy out some space. But once level 3s come out, that's where you can really expect Aster to kind of kick that aggression in.
Absolutely. Of course, down at bot lane as well, you'll see Monet, along with his Grimstroke, and Kataomi with Toby on that Lycan. POS1 Svenja, what do you feel about this? Like, against the Lycan Tiny, it doesn't feel like they can do so much to slow Monet down in this safe lane, but do you think there's anything in particular Entity can kind of do to make life a little bit more challenging for Aster in the safe lane?
I think they've just got to accept that. They're going to be waiting for levels coming out in Kataomi. It's going to take a while to get that done. A little bit of action up top, though.
Yeah, the Celestial Hammer will be there, but doesn't seem like they'll go too much further. No Starbreaker to be thrown out. Baboka now copping a bit of damage. Pure trying to get aggressive, but eventually will be forced to back his way out. And again, you've still got to be very cautious. XXS just move his way in and secure the kill. Of course, looking back at mid lane as well, Ori, he was off to a pretty terrible start handing first blood away, but top of the CS board now on that puck, not falling too far behind whatsoever, and we're having a great old time against the Batrider.
And that's where it gets worrying. Again, the Batrider without the small camp, it does feel like that farm's just going to be slowed down by a severe amount. And that is something Ori can play with. The Batrider is going to want travel, it's going to want a lot more. They do find that kill up top, though.
Yeah, very nice setup. The Nightmare into the Bloodright. Not rocket science, John. It's very, very hard to avoid, and naturally XXS unable to help out in that scenario. So Entity able to take their second kill already in this game number 1. Pure, I mean, he's having a pretty darn good time here at top lane, John.
Yeah, he's not really being pressured out by XXS. At the same time, XXS isn't too far off.
Mid lane, Stormer barely avoiding the charge. Had that landed, you probably would have had a kill there, but very nice flame break to knock back Baboka.
Just hold off that aggression that you can expect out of that roaming Spirit Breaker. It's still hurting how much Storm...
Okay.
Yeah, it's really just a farming lane.
Top, though. Does end up going down. Starbreaker going to be more than enough here from Baboka and XXS. Baboka the one to take the kill on the Spirit Breaker. Fishman, he won't mind too much, I don't think. I mean, considering how good of a lane Pure's already had, you've kind of already done your job as the Bane, I'd say.
Yeah, you've got that solid foundation for Pure to play off of now. Decent enough CS, should be able to get some space to farm up. they are getting a little bit aggressive down mid, or he does cop a lot of damage, and it's good timing for Fishman. Dies, comes in, refills the bottle for Stormstormer, so the Batrider is also starting to get a little bit more. It's not a big advantage at all for Ori, and him being shoved all the way home gives time for that Batrider to play.
Certainly does, John. Certainly does. 1-2 so far. Monet now top of the CS board on the Sven, having a very good time. No contest again. We kind of talked about this bot lane, but there's not really much they can do about the Sven, at least for now. At the very least, Kataomi does find something to do, and that's get a courier here from Siamese Cat, but the most, not the most impactful play, I'd say. Trying to deal with the Grimstroke, but really just nothing he can do. I suppose Toby, for him, it's all about hitting his own timing on this Lycan, right? Like, we know we can't stop Monet, but let's hit our own timing at a very nice timing and just kind of snowball out of control.
Yeah, try to hit that Dominator early, start to apply pressure on the towers, shrink the map so Monet isn't able to farm as much, and they're still going to hit a good timing in that Dominator. You still worry about the Sven getting too much. At the same time, it's a Sven Grimstroke lane, and they're not playing aggressive with the double stun, so you're still pretty happy about that.
Absolutely. 1K advantage here for Entity. Again, both teams a little bit slower for now, but you're going to hit some timings here once you hit around that 10-minute mark. Toby going to try and man fight against Monet. Either side really winning that one out. Meanwhile, mid lane, there will be a charge. Dreamcore committed as well onto the Batrider. Still pretty healthy, though. He'll go for the lasso back in onto Ori and just takes him out. They've got the damage. In fact, Baboka now also going to get caught out. Stormstormer very happy with all the commitment there from Aster. And, well, I'm not sure what the idea was, John. It felt a little bit desperate, but maybe they thought it was only the Batrider there.
Yeah, and I like that Entity is ready to respond. Like, that aggression is something to be expected from Aster. With that Spirit Breaker, Lasso had to be expended, but you get some major kills, and the Dream Coil gets wasted as well from Aster's end. So the support's ready to TP, make a massive play. It does open the side lanes a bit for Aster, but even that's at risk.
Oh, top lane, XXS now in a bit of danger. Kataomi is going to be there with the Avalanche follow-up, so Pure, he can just keep going, but a nice charge. Baboka going to try and save the day. XXS, he'll go for a Starbreaker, but it's not going to be enough. At least they will find Kataomi as a trade. Now the Ingswell, but the Rupture was there onto Baboka, so he's forced to just TP out of there. And ensure he doesn't give any more kills back the way of the Bloodseeker, who's already picked up 2 for himself. And again, if you are Entity, that is a win for your side.
Now you're slowing down that Dawnbreaker ramp up here. No level 6 just yet on XXS. So that global presence you can play with the mobility of the Spirit Breaker and the Puck isn't quite online. And it does feel like Aster's lineup is starting to rely on that. Although Baboka will charge forward again.
Spirit Breaker things, John, you always want to charge. Still bot lane, Monet, he could be a massive pick off the Avalanche. It's going to connect. They don't have the lasso to play with, but they've got the Flame Break and the Firefly, and Monet, he is just burning alive. They'll try to TP in to help him out, at least Siamese Cat will, but he might just be another victim of the side of Entity as he tries to get Kataomi, but he's out of mana. He can't get the damage off. That'll be a double kill to go the way of Toby. And we talked about the Lycan timings, John. It's just going to be that much quicker now as top lane Fishman might get taken out, but it's still going to be a very good trade the way of the Dire.
I like the activity Entity's showing. They're just willing to run around early. They know that they don't want to drag this game out too long from Aster, and they get some much-needed punishment onto Monet. They know that the supports of Aster just went up top, just went down mid. No way to help him out. And the Sven is still a bit of a sitting duck. No points in the Warcry. He does want to farm up. Has the God's Trindle, though.
Lasso. He's up at the top lane. They've got XXS there. He's burning alive once again in Stormstormer. There's really no getting away from this one. Doesn't have the mana for the Solar Guardian if he wanted to try and abuse that. And we'll go down to another great kill here for the Bat. 3-8 so far. 2k net worth lead the way of Entity. And well, for Aster, they've got to try and slow this game down a little bit. It just seems like it's getting a little bit out of control for the side of the Radiant.
I feel like for Aster, now that they're starting to get some of their ults up, they need to play with that potential. Show up, just jump in with either the Puck or Spirit Breaker and just Solar Guardian in.
Big charge in, Toby, he'll pop the Wolf form. Solar Guardian is going to be there and the Inkswell will land in time, so they'll move in with XXS. And Toby, he does get the bottom tier 1 tower on his own, but it will cost him his own life. I suppose at the very least, for Entity's sake, they do force 4 to rotate down bot.
Yeah, it is just Solar Guardian onto just that one pickoff, so it's not as big of a fight as you'd want for Aster. At the same time, they didn't have Ori around, so maybe they felt like they couldn't take a wider fight without that Dream Coil. You're still pretty happy on Entity taking that bot tier 1. You can start to focus onto the mid, and Aster has to be ready to respond with a good defense. if Entity does start to pile on there with the early Dominator already up in Toby, that tower's not going to take too long to push in.
Certainly not. Another charge out here from Baboka. They've seen Fishman. He's pretty far back forward. There's the Nightmare out. Hands up. Fishman's just fine. Nightmare's a spell, John.
It is a spell. Good dodge coming out from Fishman, and he's just holding him off. They will still lose their top 3-1 alone.
Monet, that's going to be a huge kill if they can secure it. No help around to help this fan. He'll try for the TP play, but the damage output just way too high from Stormstormer. You look at the top 2 net worths on the graph right now, they are both the side of Entity, as we do get to see a very nice Nightmare dodge here from Fishman. Not too hard to time as the Bane, but it's not easy either, John. You've got to know how to time these things.
Oh yeah, and that's always going to be the case if you do charge under Vision. You would probably want that Shadow Blade here, but it's going to be a long build-up for Baboka. Is working towards the Ags instead, and then smoke out from Aster. They don't quite have the Solar Guardian up, but they do have Ori hanging around with him at least.
See what this smoke does end up rewarding Aster with. They do head down towards the south, assuming perhaps they'll find a nice core for themselves. Nobody really down on the bottom side, though, here from Entity. Seems like they're kind of reading the movement of Aster. I suppose you could try to move into that dire triangle and find this Batrider. Stormstormer. Oh, it's a very nice scan. They know someone was around that staircase, and it was just a bit of a warding mission here from Aster, but now Entity, they may just know exactly where the ward is.
Yep, they take a good scan, they protect themselves. The farm still coming in for Stormstormer. Travel's already up into the BKB now on the Batrider. A ton of space coming out for Pure as well. Maelstrom up. He's got free reign of over that jungle despite losing his top tier 1. Like there are some forward wards from Aster. But again, their group ups just haven't been panning out just yet. The smoke gets popped and wasted. They buy another one in Baboka, so they know they've got to do something to stop this. It's whether or not they can find something. They had the vision, but now it's kind of growing dark here.
There you go, the Maelstrom timing here. Fast, fastest so far on this patch. Mind you, the patch did come out, you know, the other day.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, John. It's still the fastest. Still very, very good timing. It's Aster. Still smoked up. Still going to try and make something happen, but Entity got their own smoke going as well. Both hanging around that mid lane. Just on the opposite ends as they will secure the power rune for Ori. Just an illusion rune, and they will eventually break each other's smoke and spot each other out. So nothing going to come out of this, but Kataomi still going to try for an avalanche toss back. Might find Ori. They will land the stun into the Fiend's grip. They've got a perfect initiation with the Solar Guardian. Going to keep Ori alive, and now the jump back hit Ori. He pops the Dream Coil. Lasso's there, though. They hold down XXS, but it's not going to matter. Baboka was there with the follow-up. Onto Kataomi they go. They might even have a tiny bit Pure. He wants to keep the fight going. The thirst bonus is going to be making him very happy as Monet just going to get melted here by Pure. In for more. Baboka, he's forced to charge back and try to force a fight, but it looks like he is set to die as he does go down. A double kill for Pure. The only survivor being Siamese Cat on the Grimstroke. A great team fight for Entity.
Yeah, it looked like it was going well for Aster. The initial kill coming out in Ori just took a little bit too long to happen. They had a good Dream Coil come through, but they didn't have the follow-through. That fight was fairly split up. All your damage on this Sven was in the ramp side, but your initial jump was happening on the mid-ramp area near the river, so they couldn't quite play around with all of that control with a well-timed Solar Guardian on top, and Entity just capitalized. You know, they turn around, they realize a lot of spells were blown. They could just rupture, they could just get that control. We're seeing a lot of impact coming out from Kataomi. These avalanches are just holding them back so often, and Aster, they're starting to lose a lot of this map. I mean, there's no objective being taken off the back of that for Entity, and you can see again, they get all that control off onto the puck. It looks good because the Solar Guardian's massive, but then the fight's just split up in 2 parts.
That's the thing as well. Everyone starts getting low. The thirst bonuses kick in for Pure. He sees the advantage. He sees how many low heroes there are, and well, speaking of low heroes, XXS going to drop down to the bot lane as Entity, not intending on slowing down the tempo quite yet. Ori, Baboka, they'll see the tiny, but they're just not feeling confident. Fishman was just right around the corner anyway. Zori is going to spot him out, but again, the confidence just is not there to make the jump in. In fact, Ori, he was right to back off because Pure, he's right there. Rupture is out. Bloodright will be there as well, but the Orb Away will be there as Fishman going to try and move him with the Brain Sap. Still going, and they will find the puck. Soulbind, it's there, but it's going to mean nothing as Stormstormer right onto Siamese Cat. Even Baboka trying to back off. It's not looking great for him, though, John. They've got the Helm of the Overlord up as well on the Lycan, so They've hit a very nice timing now on the Dire side. It's Pure. Manet's going to find him. Solar Guardian will be there. Pure barely going to avoid the stun from that Solar Guardian. Celestial Hammer is there. Pure. He does end up giving a big kill away. Great pick off by Aster, but here comes the punishment. Stormstormer has the lasso up. Will at least find a bit of a revenge kill onto XXS. But I suppose for Aster, you're always happy to trade the Dawnbreaker for the POS1 Bloodseeker. Problem is, you gave away quite a few kills before that.
Yeah, it's a lot of kills to sacrifice. Entity, they're hitting some key timings now off the back of those pickoffs. The Blink, I believe, already done on Kataomi, although he does switch towards a 4-staff now. But yeah, he's got his Blink up, so the initiation's a lot easier now for our Tiny. The Overlord timing coming out there from Toby is just ridiculous, right? Like, yeah, the Sven can clear out the creeps, but not at this point. You're not farmed enough to really just burst him down, and you're going to have to time your use of your God Strength, and that's something he's just using for farm right now. In almost all of these fights, he doesn't have that ult to help do some damage.
Entity just keeps breaking records this new patch so far, John. 3 item timings so far being the fastest here from Entity. I think the most important one being the fact that you've got that Helm of the Overlord up so quickly, but even the Blink up on the Tiny, obviously very, very impactful. Just the toss back. So frustrating to have to play into, especially when you're playing Sven. You rely on your positioning to be perfect, but one nice toss back onto Manet, and you know he's in dire straits after that, that's for sure. Aster, again, going to slow down the game. Oh, we've all done it, John. We've all done it.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, they try to catch someone out. Gonna be down for quite some time. There is an opening there for Entity if they want to clump around. And they are sort of playing in a general direction. They already have good forward wards in the triangle. Aster can't really breach that area. Mid-tier 1 down. So the jungle, it's that little bit riskier, especially in the triangle for Monet to farm in. It does feel like for Aster now, they're relying on the Sven BKB, which is still set to come out, but that's more than enough time for Entity to just Roche.
And they will. Right in. Not going to take them too long. Stormstorm in the meantime, looking for even more kills here. Onto XXS. Kataomi going to join in as well. Toss back into Stormstormer. They're just playing here with this Dawnbreaker. Even the lasso being committed. Why not? Feels like Entity just feeling very confident as Baboka. Bit out of position here. He's going to cop the Fiend's Grip. And that should be another kill to go the way of Entities. There's just no way out after the silence connects. Aster just can't find the timing they're looking for, is now even mid lane. Siamese Cat. They are getting smothered here, Jonathan. Aster, they just cannot catch a break.
Yeah, they're just getting run down, and Entity have such a good read as to what they have to do. They hit these early timings, they clump up. Aster keep trying to force this issue down mid. It feels like the rotations coming out from Baboka just kind of cause this landslide effect where the Batrider doesn't die and you get punished by support rotation, so the timings on Stormstormer just hit ridiculous speeds. It buys a lot of space out for the Lycan, for Toby, and you just hit those key timings you need to take over the game. Like, yes, on paper, the Sven will still do a good job if this game drags on. The question is whether or not they can force the game to go a little bit slower, because the farming speed right now for Monet just isn't there. There are no triangle stacks, no ancient stacks to play with. Jungle is very unsafe.
Jump in, down a bot lane, Baboka. It goes back to the Tiny Blink, John. You just have such an early timing on Kataomi, and you can just continue abusing it. So speaking of early timings, Pure as well. BKB up now, Aegis up, looking very, very happy. Aster, they've got to find a place to farm as the Avalanche is going to land, but Kataomi could not get the toss off on Ori. He's going to be just fine.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Entity, they'll still group up and control most of the map. They are just really not allowing any breathing room for Aster. Instead, now Aster, they are going to smoke up through the mid lane. They're going to try and make something happen with the blink up on Ori, and they'll see Toby. The charge will be there. There is some backup at Toby. He might just be left alone. Nice Nightmare, however, into the toss back on Fishman. XXS still just trying to back his way out. May just do so, but the Lycan still not down. Toby surely dies and finally does. Baboka, he's going to try and go for a run, but Pure should have his way with him. In fact, XXS, oh, just barely not making it out as Siamese Cat. Well, he'll try to run, John, but they're all over him. He'll drop. 3-for-1 trade the way of Entity. Pure with another double kill on the Bloodseeker. And there's just no slowing down these guys.
No, they're way too durable. You already have that casual plate mail up on Toby building into the AC. Just a very tanky target to jump first. You saw how much they had to commit from Aster to just try to find that kill, and they almost missed out. Great BKB reveal out from Pure as well. Runs right through the Dream Coil. And that's always now going to be a consistent issue coming out for Aster. They have to be very smart with how they use their soulbind. They have to be very smart with the angles they take. Maybe if they can force the BKB use out from Pure a little bit earlier, fight him in that downtime, that's where things can maybe pick up. The one good bit of news for Aster is that Monet isn't involved, so he does have his BKB from the farm.
Ori, he away should be just fine. No way to cancel, and Fishman just won't make it there in time. Look at this replay of that last team fight, and you've got to wonder what took so long to kill off Toby here. It just kind of felt like they were expecting somebody else to finish the job off eventually. I believe it was Ori who picks up the kill. The Nether Strike onto the Tiny instead, and then the Dream Coil being committed with the orb. Ori does secure, but Entity just so confident. Pure knowing he has his BKB the whole time, understanding he can just keep the fight going, and just nothing you can do to stop them.
Yeah, the Nightmare saves coming out here have been big from Fishman, just stalling out these fights so much. And again, just the early timings we're seeing from Toby. The plate mail is just mitigating so much of that initial right-clicking that the magic damage doesn't really feel like it's that big. He has enough HP to kind of bear through it. And again, the main thing you're getting your spell amp from is right now Soulbind. They need to be able to find a way to latch onto that Lycan much earlier on to get the max value from that.
Absolutely. 9k advantage, 4-man smoke up, Entity. They want to go again. They're not done yet. In fact, make that a double smoke, just in case. Down towards the bottom side of the map, Aster. Gonna get caught out. They found Monet. He'll pop his BKB, but they have the Fiend's Grip. The Solar Guardian, it's gonna protect. They'll try and force the fight. That's one down. Kataomi also in trouble. We'll try to back off as now Ori. He's found the Bloodseeker. Monet, though, should drop and does eventually as they go for a bit more now. Pure, what does he get done on the right side? Ori still hasn't got the kill. Has to back his way out. Meanwhile, Siamese Cat, well, they'll get the Aegis at least, but Siamese, he's gonna drop. Ori sticking around trying to secure Pure. Will blink away as well. XXS, he will not have the same luxury. He will drop the Stormer. And Ori, well, I suppose he finds a little bit of a win here finding that Aegis, but he might have just been better off fighting with his team in that time around.
Very scattered fight again. Entity just managing to get the right jumps in. This time around, I mean, you had the BKB on Monet. It's just, again, the output is not quite there. We're not hitting hard enough on this Sven, even with the God Strand on. Like they were living for such a long time. There's also maybe a little bit of the itemization coming out here from XXS. He does go for the damage buildup on the Dawnbreaker. He already has the Shard at the least, so you've got some spell immunity, but the Deso buildup, no Blink, no BKB to kind of play in and help and maybe force that choice out from the Bane for the grip. It just makes it very easy for him to prioritize Monet every single time. And we actually have seen Fishman just use random grips on supports if he wants.
On the brighter side, Entity has not made their attempt at high ground yet, so that's one piece of good news. As Ori, top lane, well, this is not very good news if he does get silenced, but he's going to be fine for now. A bit of a misblink from Ori. He won't be punished, though. He's going to be okay. They'll leave him be. They won't waste their time with the puck. Of course, now an AC up as well on the Lycan, John. So I just said they haven't gone high ground yet, but with the AC up, they might think about it very, very soon. It's a very, very strong kind of item for another team fight here for Entity. It's a matter of whether they have any smokes up, and they do. Smoke up as 3. Use Stormer as bait. Get right down towards the south. As 4. We're not going to be around. Kataomi, he's going to find Siamese Cat immediately on the Grimstroke, but they do not burst him down yet. Eventually, he should drop here, and they will find him. He won't charge up from Baboka. Trying to get his way out of there as the flame break. Not going to connect, so Baboka, he's going to be alright.
Dire's courier has been killed.
Ori, well, he does find himself a courier at least. In fact, Baboka,
oh boy.
I said he was going to be alright, John, but Toby's Morbin.
Oh yeah, it's Morbin time.
Baboka. Oh, Lasso is there. They found a bigger target. Monet. Fiend's Grip is out. Through the BKB. Hold him down. They do at least cancel it off, but can they get the Sven? Not quite XXS. He'll have to be the sacrificial lamb for his team. Oh, they jump in again. This Tiny still wanting to go a bit more forward. Not able to find Monet like he wanted. But he will back his way out at the very least. Just barely. Baboka able to secure the kill though. At least you do find Kataomi for your trouble. And you do protect Monet on the Sven. It's not all bad for the side of Aster.
Yeah, they find a couple of wins. Kataomi still finds the kill back in Baboka. So you're not completely lost there. And the high ground hold of Aster can kick in. You know, it's his fan. Your wave clear is there. You've got a puck who can be slippery, as we've seen from Ori in the game so far. Entity have to be careful about over-committing, being overzealous on what they want to do with these timings. There's still a tier 2 top, there's still a tier 2 down bot, safer objectives to take instead of diving behind and trying to close the game out that way. And very brave move though, like they just run down, you know, try to chase Baboka, but just a couple of good stuns and a few opportunities to just turn around does give Monet a little play, although again the BKB Pierce is pretty scary for this Sven.
No, it's just so hard to play into. At the very least, Monet this time around got out, and that's certainly a little bit of good news here, but XXS obviously having to sacrifice himself to allow that to happen. Top lane Stormer. We'll have a look around for Ori. Might just find him as well. The puck is going to get spotted out into the Rupture. That'll be a massive pick-off. Ori, not dead yet though, but eventually will drop. He'll pop the coil, but it's going to make no difference in the matter. You get rid of that pesky puck who just keeps pushing out these side lanes and making you come back here for Entity. Speaking of Entity, John, they may not even try to go high ground yet. They're just going to wait for Roshan. It's only 20 seconds away.
Yeah, not too far off. They've got a couple more items that can come in here as well. Stormer's working towards his own Witchblade. Already has a shard up, so every other attack with the Napalm stacks, with that little DOT coming out from Witchblade, it's a lot of damage coming out from him. Even if he doesn't necessarily use his Firefly, the right clicks are just going to melt people if they're not careful with that shard. Technically, it's still like the 50% from the old shard.
Right.
But it feels a lot more consistent. Every other attack just sounds a lot better.
It certainly does, John. That it does. Roshan gets started now by Entity, I believe, and Aster. I mean, you'd love to try and force a fight here, but 13k behind, chances are you can't really make that happen. You just aren't quite ready to go for a fight outside of your base if you are Aster. And Entity, they'll find themselves a second Roshan and a shard this time around. Hand it over to, it'll be Toby.
It's an interesting one, a wolf coming out in every creep wave. I don't think we see that too often, but hey, free shard is free shard, so might as well. A little bit more shove that Aster will have to deal with it, although again, their lineup doesn't necessarily have a hard time with D-shoving with the Sven and with the puck.
Look at it, John, look at that value. There he is. There's the wolf. That's 1,400 gold worth of wolf right there, John. Expensive little boy. But he's a good boy.
Absolutely. It does do quite a lot of damage, though. 39 plus 25 does help quite a fair bit in pushing if it stays alive.
Absolutely. Pure. Mid lane, onto the Spirit Breaker. Baboka going to try and run his way up at the Fiend's Grip. Just going to hold him down. They have no hesitation popping these big ultis for these kind of kills. It's Pure. Going to spot out Siamese Cat as well, but do they have the lockdown for him? Nightmare will be there. Fishman with the Aether Lens, able to lock him down. Siamese Cat, though, is able to back his way out. He's fine, but in comes the Lycan. Look at the damage output as well. Dream Coil is there. They do find Siamese Cat. Can they punish this Lycan? Not quite. Toby's going to be just fine. Monet, he's going to make the jump in onto the Tiny, but the Nightmare is there. Kataomi, he's going to be just fine. Meanwhile, the Wolf, look at that, Jonathan. Look at the impact into the bot lane, though. Monet, he's in such big trouble. Solar Guardian, it'll protect for now, but Kataomi's back in. Avalanche is out. But they still can't secure the kill quite yet, though. Stormer, he'll make the jump in. Meanwhile, these Wolves, Jonathan, look at them go. Down at the bottom side, they're going stronger. Stormer still getting picked off, does end up going down. Going way too deep.
Yeah, they dive really far. They do make it work, though. They force a lot out of Aster. Entity still getting what they want in the end. Stormer is punished, but they hold them back. And they do push really quick, those Wolves. And they were left alone for quite a fair bit. They do a lot of damage. So they can really just accelerate that push without you really doing much.
They cripple towers too, by the way, John.
That's beautiful. And they stack. That instant stacks now, so hey.
Why the hell not?
There's value.
Certainly value. Don't know how towers get crippled, John. They're structures, but
you dig at the foundations. It's digging down, you know, trying to bury a bone or something. Right. So the structure gets less stable there, Mike.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you know, I took an engineering course on YouTube.
You took an engineering course?
On YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
I wouldn't build anything myself, you know, but I can act like I know something.
Oh, you built a Dota2 career. Congratulations, John.
You can see how stable that is.
Yeah, well. Dire Triangle, Aster. They'll smoke their way up. Toby, he is around the corner. Aster, feel confident to make the jump in. Toby gonna reveal himself now. Aster still very, very cautious, but pings around. XXS, he'll make the jump in. Toby, he'll get the wolf form off with the BKB, and in comes Entity from the backside. They're gonna pinch them as Baboka just gets melted. Pure now, he'll find Monet with the Rupture. Can't stop him through the BKB TP though, but they'll find XXS. And Aster, I mean, they're trying, John, but these attempts just feel so desperate. Entity just always around the corner, ready to fight whenever.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it's pretty devastating when something as tanky as that Spirit Breaker just melts to Toby. Pops the BKB, runs down, and he had no HP at the end. They have the room to push in now. No, they do have God Strength up on Monet. BKB on cooldown for quite some time, and they did just use the Fortify. So it will refresh when they take a tier 3. That should be available, so they can try, but they've got to find some way.
They might find the Aegis at least. Pure? No, he's going to heal up now. Stroke of Fate, Coil committed. They can't kill him. They can't kill this man, Pure. We saw it yesterday, John. This man's a Giga Chat. He does not give a crap. He'll heal up every single time.
Yeah, and I mean, they at least didn't use their second Fortify. So they're going to have that option on, say, the next Siege. They can kind of stall. This gives them time on Aster to wait for that next BKB use. But the damage is still lacking. Like, we're seeing Monet work onto the Daedalus next. Needs a lot of gold to get that done. Doesn't have too much space to get that done either.
Rupture's there. Lock him down. Inkswell to try and help out Monet. Trying not to take too much damage. Ori to try and help out, but Pure, he's just running right in.
God.
Monet's gone. Siamese Cat, he'll follow, and there goes XXS. It might just be time to call this game number 1, John. Aster, they'll try, but GG's called. They know they can't do it. It's just way too one-sided. And you give props to Entity, John. They were the underdogs coming into this matchup, but they hit their timings perfectly here in this game number 1. And there was just no stopping them right after.
Yeah, they just started rolling. They get the timings they need on Stormer, and especially Toby. That early Dominator to push down bot, to push into the mid as well, into the Overlord was just massive. And I don't know.